What is up guys, Stephen Calls of Mac here. I hope you all had a great start to the new year, and with this video I'm kicking off 2018 by taking a look at what we might see from Apple this coming year. Let's get started. 2018 could be the year the popular iPhone SE will finally get updated. The original iPhone SE, which launched back in March 2016, was a smash hit combining one of the best iPhone designs with updated specs. Well, Apple manufacturer Wistron is reportedly gearing up to produce the next-gen iPhone SE at its factory in India. The new 4-inch iPhone SE will reportedly be made available in early to mid-2018. Keeping the look of its predecessor, but it'll come with an A10 processor, iOS 11 will boast 32GB and 128GB storage options, and with a 1700 mAh battery. It's suggested the new iPhone SE is part of Apple's strategy to double its market share in India over the next 5 years. India is one of the big future hopes for Apple as a market, particularly with Apple running into various problems in China. The iPhone SE2, or whatever it's going to be called, will ship to the Indian market first before expanding to other markets. It may be cheaper than the first gen model due to a 10% exemption in basic customs duty, making the product more competitive to the Indian market. The cheapest model would be around $450. In a conflicting report though, respected Chinese analyst Pan Jitang told investors that Apple has no plans to refresh the iPhone SE. He said the company sees no need for a refresh, with more and more people switching to larger devices. As well as a new iPhone SE, Apple is reportedly working to improve the next generation iPhone X equivalent's battery life, bringing it up from the 2,760 mAh of power in the current model to a battery capacity of between 2,900 and 3,000 mAh this year. Provided that's real, it theoretically means an increase of 10% or up to a couple of hours, although extra battery life can be eaten up depending on the extra features Apple adds for the next handsets. All of Apple's iPhones for 2018 will reportedly support pre-5G technology and Face ID. If true, that means 2017 would have been the year we officially waved goodbye to Touch ID, which Apple first introduced in 2013 with the iPhone 5S. According to reliable KGI Securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple will release an iPhone X Plus next year with the biggest smartphone screen the company has ever made. Kuo says Apple will release 3 iPhones in 2018 with a notch design. There will supposedly be a 5.8-inch and a 6.5-inch model, both with OLED displays. The third iPhone will supposedly have a 6.1-inch LCD display, but come with the same bezel-free design as the iPhone X. The 6.5-inch iPhone X Plus will have a display with 480 to 500 pixels per inch, possibly making it more pixel dense than the iPhone X. The 6.1-inch LCD version will only have a display with 320 to 330 pixels per inch. Ming-Chi Kuo also earlier reported that the next iPhone won't have a true depth sensor on its back. Apple is likely to make rear-facing camera improvements, it does so every year, but it seems like they'll be slight. Ming-Chi Kuo says Apple will continue to use the same 6-element lens system it has employed for years now. Apple has struck a balance between quality and form factor, Kuo adds, and changing this could lead to complications in the supply chain. Apple has already suffered supply chain complications with the iPhone X. Thanks to problems manufacturing Face ID components, the device was in severely short supply. That's why it sold out so quickly when it went up for pre-order. A potential repeat of these production problems isn't worth the minor improvements a glass lens system would bring. Another rumour currently circulating about what's up Apple's sleeves this year is a plan to merge iOS and Mac apps into one. Apple has always denied that merging its mobile and desktop operating systems is a good idea, but from 2018 it is reportedly starting to explore that road by giving developers the ability to create apps which work on iPhones, iPads and Macs. Depending on the hardware you use them on, these apps could be controlled by a touchscreen, mouse or trackpad, and would be equally at home on both iOS and macOS. Apple will reportedly let developers start creating these apps from the first half of next year, possibly at WWDC, while end users will get to use them from fall, when Apple rolls out its next-gen software updates. The project responsible for this initiative inside Apple is supposedly codenamed Marzipan. The Bloomberg report about the project, which cites unnamed individuals familiar with Apple's plans, notes that there's still a chance that this project could be cancelled. It's not clear what this would mean for the iOS and Mac App Store as individual entities, and whether these changes would affect all apps or just a few, depending on developer preferences. It's surprising to think that Airpods have been out for over a year now, and they can still be awkward to get your hands on. Well, if you believe the rumours, Apple is planning to release an updated version of its Airpods in the second half of 2018. In a note to clients, Ming-Chi Kuo doesn't share too many details about what the new Airpods will do differently. He does suggest that they will adopt a smaller quartz component, quite possibly making them even smaller than the first gen model currently available. In his note to investors, Kuo also sheds a bit of light on the current supply issues Apple is having with the Airpods. At present, Airpods are next to impossible to find, and shipping estimates are currently showing us up to 7 business days, despite other devices like the iPhone X now showing next day delivery. Perhaps due to this lack of availability, Koo thinks Apple will experience increased calendar Q1 sales for the Airpods. He also suggests that Apple will double its AirPods shipments next year to over 26 million units. Hot on the heels of the iPad's success last year, Apple is said to be developing a new inexpensive iPad for this year. Sources say it will be even cheaper than the 9.7-inch model currently on offer, as the company looks to take on affordable rivals from the likes of Amazon, Samsung and Huawei. Apple made the iPad cheaper than ever back in March of last year. Its entry-level 9.7-inch model is even more affordable than an iPad mini. Cheaper tablets are still available though. Now Apple wants to chase after them with a new 9.7-inch iPad that will cost just $259 according to DigiTimes. iPad sales have been falling every year since 2014 as the tablet market matures. However, during the third fiscal quarter of 2017, iPad sales actually rose year over year. The iPad Pro with its additional functionality and features definitely played a large part in that, but a more affordable iPad definitely had a big factor to play too. Apple will be hoping its next entry-level model will have just as much impact. Supply chain sources expect Apple's new entry-level iPad to arrive in the second half of 2018. The iPad Pro models won't be left out either, as they're set to get a huge processor upgrade this year, according to the latest rumours from Apple's supply chain in Asia. Apple supposedly plans to slap an octa-core processor in next year's iPad Pro, making them the most powerful tablets Apple has ever made. The chip will allegedly be manufactured by TSMC and will pack a few features that the A11 chip on the iPhone X doesn't have. The super fast new chip will supposedly be named the A11X Bionic chip, according to the Chinese site MyDrivers. Citing industry sources, the site claims the 8-core chip will pack 3 high-performance Monsoon cores and 5 energy-efficient Mistral cores. For the iPhone X and iPhone 8, Apple created the A11 Bionic chip that comes with 2 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores. The addition of 2 more cores will undoubtedly give the 2018 iPad Pro some huge performance gains. An M11 coprocessor will probably be included on the A11X Bionic chip, along with a neural engine that specialises in AI computations, so that Apple can bring Face ID to the iPad lineup this year. Apple isn't expected to unveil the new iPad Pros until spring or early summer. Other new features could include an iPhone X style edge-to-edge display, upgraded cameras, a new Apple Pencil and more. When it comes to the Apple Watch, last year's Series 3 model gave a huge boost to Apple's wearable line, so much so I can barely take mine off these days. This year, Apple is planning to cut down on its reliance of Samsung displays with future models of the Apple Watch by adopting micro LED screens, according to a new report out of Asia. The previous models of the Apple Watch use OLED displays sourced from a couple of different manufacturers. For the iPhone 8, Apple relies solely on Samsung to produce the display, and Apple prefers to source components from multiple manufacturers to mitigate risk, so it's looking to move to a new technology. Micro LED displays aren't quite ready to be used in smartphones, but Nikkei reports that Apple is pushing ahead to bring it to the Apple Watch first. One of the advantages to micro LED displays is that they don't require a backlight. This would allow Apple to make the Apple Watch thinner than ever, or devote more space to battery life. Jumping to micro LED would be a huge feat though. Producing micro LED displays in mass is still incredibly difficult for all the top display makers, so we'll just have to wait and see if this becomes a reality. The one product I'm most excited to see get updated this year is an all-new Mac Pro. It's been about 4 years since the go-to editor's machine's been properly updated, and Apple's already admitted that it needs some love. Back in April last year, Apple revealed that it's planning to introduce an all-new Mac Pro and a new external display for 2018. The company acknowledges that the existing Mac Pro doesn't fulfill all the needs of its Pro customers, but the new model will have a more traditional modular design that will allow Apple to keep it fresh. This could signal the return to a more traditional desktop computer, which would give users the freedom to upgrade things like the processor and graphics cards as they see fit. The new iMac Pro, for example, is notoriously difficult to upgrade, and even with the current Mac Pro, these things are not replaceable, and that's an issue. Even when it launched, the Mac Pro wasn't as powerful as it could have been. Apple uses the kind of GPUs most commonly found in notebook computers, and they can't compete with the dedicated video cards most consumers want in a high-end rig. Unfortunately, Apple didn't actually say when it would be available, we just know that it'll be this year. Also in 2018, we could see Apple step even further into augmented reality after showing how invested it is with the iPhone. Ming-Chi Kuo predicts that Apple will benefit from a few advantages over its rivals. Cupertino could enjoy a 3 to 5 year lead over competitors by redefining AR experiences on the iPhone, iPad and Mac. New business fields like autonomous driving systems will also help the company put its AR software everywhere. Apple supposedly has hundreds of engineers developing both AR and VR headsets. It also scooped up a number of augmented reality companies such as Mateo and hired some big names in both fields. On top of that, as part of CCS Insight's predictions for 2018, analysts for the firm suggest that Apple will launch a video subscription service designed to compete with Netflix. Should Apple go down the streaming video service route, CCS Insight suggests that Apple's original content currently in development will play a major role. And to me personally, this makes much more sense than the recent rumours that Apple will buy Netflix. Although its first efforts into original content, the reality TV shows Planet of the Apps and Carpool Karaoke the series have been critical flops, Apple is supposedly readying $1 billion to spend on launching additional shows. Initially, it seemed that Apple's original content would be exclusive to Apple Music, but more recent reports have suggested that it would be distinct from it. Well, that's it for this video, but let me know in the comments section what you'd like to see from Apple this year. Also, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.